feeling stretched thin, maybe overwhelmed, like you're constantly losing ground as we navigate 2025. Are all those endless demands, the blurred work-life lines, the pressure to just say yes to everything, is it sabotaging your focus, your goals, even your well-being?
Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. It's a common feeling.
But it feels, like a dangerous trap, doesn't it? Especially with everything moving so fast this year.
It really is. It's more than just feeling frazzled. It's like your control slips away. And when you lose that sense of agency, especially now in 2025, with the constant pace and connectivity.
It's like building a sandcastle at high tide.
Exactly. That's a great analogy. Progress just gets washed away and, well, burnout feels almost inevitable.
Right. So maybe the answer isn't just working harder. What if it's about building smarter fences strategically?
Yeah, I like that. Smarter fences.
Yeah, and that's the deep dive we're taking today. We're going to unpack some really powerful ideas from the book Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend.
And this isn't just a book summary, right? We want this to be practical.
Exactly. Think of it as your tailored 2025 action plan, something to help you reclaim your time, your energy.
Our mission here is to pull out the most potent, the most practical strategies from Boundaries and translate them, turn them into concrete steps you can use, like right now.
Whether you're leading a team, running your own business, or just trying to live more intentionally.
These principles are basically your toolkit for getting back control and actually thriving in, well, the unique pressure cooker that is 2025.
And it feels so timely, doesn't it? The speed of change, AI reshaping things, and always-on remote culture.
Oh, absolutely. It all just highlights the need for really strong boundaries. It's not a nice to have anymore.
Feels like essential survival gear for the rest of the year to stay effective and maybe even sane.
Couldn't agree more. So where do we start?
Okay, let's jump in. Our first big takeaway from Boundaries gets right to the heart of it with one very small but incredibly powerful word for this age of overload.
And I think we can guess what that word is. It's no.
Exactly.
Cloud and Townsend really lay it out simply. Boundaries define where you end and someone else begins. And no is the most basic, the most fundamental way to draw that line.
But it's not about being negative, right? Or just shutting people down.
Not at all. It's much more about preserving your resources, your time, your energy, your focus, your values. It's protection, not negativity.
Okay, let's connect that directly to 2025.
Yeah.
The information overload is just staggering. Emails, notifications, endless remote meetings.
It's relentless. And remote work, great as it is for flexibility, has just fundamentally blurred those work-life lines, saying yes automatically to everything. It's a fast track to burnout. You literally won't have the capacity for the important stuff.
Like adapting to AI or focusing on strategic growth.
Yeah.
The things that actually move the needle in 2025.
Precisely. Your ability to say no strategically and thoughtfully becomes your primary defense for your productivity and your sanity. What strikes you most about needing that no right now?
What strikes me is that saying no feels almost like a superpower in this environment that constantly demands yes. It's about being really intentional. So let's make it practical. How can listeners start building their 2025 no plan?
Okay, step one is clarity. You need to know what you're protecting. So identify your top 3 absolutely non-negotiable goals for this quarter in 2025. Professional, personal, whatever they are.
Get specific. Write them down.
Exactly. Then the next step is an honest audit. For 1 week, track your commitments. Where is your time actually going?
Uh-oh. I have a feeling this might be revealing.
It often is. Then you compare. How many of those commitments truly align with those top 3 priorities you just wrote down? You might be surprised, maybe even a little shocked.
Okay, so you've got your priorities. You see where your time's going.
Yeah.
Now what? Now comes the actual no.
Right. When a new request comes in email, Slack, conversation, you need to consciously hit pause. Just take a breath.
Don't just react.
Don't just react. Ask yourself, does this directly serve my core 2025 priorities? If it's a clear no, then you need to deliver that polite but firm refusal.
And polite but firm is key, isn't it? You don't need to be harsh, but you do need to be clear.
Absolutely. Frame it constructively. Something like, thanks so much for thinking of me, but my focus really needs to stay on your priority X right now, so I'll have to pass.
Or maybe, I can't commit to that time frame, but perhaps suggest an alternative, maybe delegate, maybe a different time.
Exactly. Be direct, be clear, but you don't owe a lengthy explanation or apology. What kind of no phrasing feels right for the, the digital workplace of 2025?
I think having a few go-to phrases is helpful, like, Thanks, but my bandwidth is fully committed to my key projects right now, or I need to decline this to ensure I deliver on my existing commitments. It's professional. It's clear.
Good examples. And crucially, protect your focus time. If your priorities need deep work, block it out. Treat it like a critical meeting.
And say no to intrusions during that time. Politely, but firmly. It might feel weird at first.
It will, but the progress you make speaks for itself. Think about someone like Warren Buffett. His success is built on saying no to almost everything that doesn't fit his narrow criteria.
That's a powerful example. In the noisy world of 2025, that discipline is gold.
It really is. It's about clarity.
Okay, let's shift gears. Takeaway number 2, taking ownership, defining your yard in this complex world. This one also really resonated. Cloud and Townsend are very clear. You're responsible for you, your feelings, attitudes, behaviors, tasks, not for others.
Exactly. Boundaries here define your area of responsibility, your yard, as they call it. Trying to manage things outside your yard, like other people's feelings about your boundaries or their work, it just leads to exhaustion. You get tangled up.
Right. And the flip side is true too, isn't it? If you don't take ownership of what is yours.
Then problems crop up for everyone. Things get dropped, resentment builds. How do you see this playing out specifically in 2025?
Well, remote teams definitely need clear ownership. Who's doing what? If it's fuzzy, things fall through the cracks, or, people duplicate effort, it's inefficient.
Totally. And for entrepreneurs, navigating market shifts.
Yeah.
You have to own your strategy, your client management, your reaction to setbacks. You can't just blame the market for everything.
True. You own your response, your value proposition. That sense of agency is key.
It's foundational for navigating uncertainty effectively.
So let's get practical again. Your 2025 ownership map. First, look inward. Where might you be overreaching? Fixing colleagues' messes? Feeling responsible for a client's bad planning? Soaking up negativity.
Be honest with yourself. And then, the flip side, where might you be underreaching, blaming external factors without looking at your own strategy, avoiding difficult conversations, not managing your time effectively?
Oof. That requires some real self-awareness.
It does, but it's crucial. Then, communication, especially in 2025's fluid teams and client setups. Define roles and responsibilities clearly, maybe even write them down.
And if someone tries to dump their responsibility on you?
Gentle redirection. Something like, that sounds like it falls into your area. How can I support you in getting it done? What are some ways people avoid ownership remotely, do you think?
Oh, easy ones.
Yeah.
Hiding behind email lag, assuming someone else has it covered because you can't see them, getting sucked into other people's urgent fires.
Yeah, all classic avoidance tactics. And a really critical piece here is owning your feelings. Your emotional response is yours. If someone's upset by your boundary...
You can acknowledge their feelings.
Exactly. I understand you're disappointed, but you don't take responsibility for their feeling. But my decision stands. Their emotions are their yard, yours are yours.
That's subtle but huge. It reminds me of the Microsoft turnaround under Satya Nadella. A lot of that was about clear ownership, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Setting boundaries on old ways of doing things.
Absolutely. That sense of ownership was vital. Which brings us nicely to our third area, boundaries with work itself, preventing the 2025 burnout epidemic.
This feels like the topic for so many people right now. Work just seems to expand.
It does. Cloud and Townsend point out that work needs boundaries or it consumes everything. They even talk about rest as a fundamental boundary.
And in 2025, it feels almost countercultural to limit work, doesn't it? Especially if you're passionate. Have you seen this expansion happen?
Constantly. Remote work, hybrid models, global teams, the sheer volume of digital communication. It's easier than ever for work to just seep into every corner of life.
Even AI, which should help, could actually increase workload if we're not careful, right?
Potentially, yeah. If it just means we're expected to do more, that's why proactive work boundaries are non-negotiable. For mental health, for sustainable performance.
Okay, let's lay out the 2025 anti-burnout boundaries. Step 1, define work hours, even if you work from home.
Especially if you work from home. Define your start and end times. Stick to them as much as possible and critically communicate them. Let your team, your clients know your general availability.
That communication piece is key. Then, digital sunset rules.
Yeah, love that term. Turn off the work notifications, email, Slack, Teams, whatever outside those defined hours. Seriously. Resist the urge to check email first thing or last thing. Give your brain a break.
Okay, makes sense. And protect downtime. This sounds obvious, but...
It's so easy to let it slide. Schedule rest, schedule family time, hobbies, exercise. Treat them like important meetings. Block them out.
If you lead a team, model this. Show it's okay, even necessary, to disconnect. What are your go-to strategies for protecting downtime?
For me, physically stepping away from the workspace helps. A walk outside. Also, a clear end-of-day ritual, tidying up, planning tomorrow's top task signals my brain to switch off. And finally, delegation and automation.
Ah, yes, taking things off your plate.
Look at tasks that drain you or aren't core to your 2025 focus. Can you delegate? Can you automate? Maybe using some of those 2025 AI tools. Freeing up bandwidth is setting a boundary.
Good point. Which leads us to the really tricky stuff. Takeaway 4, boundaries with difficult people.
Ah, yes. Cloud and Townsend say boundaries are most needed to those who resist them most. Controllers, manipulators, takers. It's harder here, but vital.
And in 2025, difficult people can appear anywhere, demanding online clients, remote underperformers, those energy vampires in virtual networks.
Even just negativity online. You need strategies to protect your peace and focus from these interactions. What boundary violations feel amplified remotely?
I think the expectation of instant responses, maybe late-night urgent DMs, passive-aggressive comments in chat, the lack of physical cues makes it easier to overstep.
Definitely. So let's build your 2025 difficult people playbook. First step, identify the patterns. Who consistently violates your boundaries? Recognize recurring behavior.
The client who always pushes for weekend work, the relative who guilt trips, the colleague who dismisses your ideas.
Exactly. Know the pattern, then state your limit. Clearly, calmly, no big emotional reaction, just state the boundary and, if needed, the consequence.
So something like, I can't respond to work requests after 6 p.m. If it's urgent, use channel, otherwise I'll reply tomorrow.
Perfect. Or, I'm not available to discuss off-limits topic right now. And then the hard part, enforce the consequence. Consistently. Calmly.
If you said no response after hours, don't respond. If there's a late fee, apply it. Consistency is everything. Why do people struggle with enforcement?
Fear, mostly. Fear of conflict, fear of not being liked, guilt. We worry about damaging the relationship. But not enforcing boundaries damages relationships too, through resentment and burnout.
True. So what if someone still doesn't respect the boundary?
Then you might need to limit exposure, less frequent interaction, specific communication channels only, or even in 2025's a flexible market, ending a professional relationship. Sometimes distance is the healthiest boundary.
Okay, that makes sense. Finally, takeaway 5. This one feels like the flip side, respecting other people's boundaries.
Yes, often overlooked, but crucial. Cloud and Townsend stress that healthy relationships require honoring others' limits just as much as setting your own. It's a two-way street.
Pushing past someone's no, ignoring their need for space, it destroys trust, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And think about 2025 remote teams, virtual collaboration. It all runs on trust and psychological safety. Respecting boundaries builds that trust.
It's fundamental for teamwork, innovation, client relationships, everything. What are some subtle ways we might disrespect boundaries digitally?
Expecting instant replies, maybe messaging at odd hours without thinking, CCing the entire world on an email, things that impose on others' time and attention.
Right. So the 2025 Respectful Interaction Guide. First step, listen for limits. Not just explicit no's, but cues of overload, maybe discomfort.
Pay attention. And second, ask, don't assume, is now a good time? What's your bandwidth for this? Simple questions make a huge difference.
That if someone does say no to you,
honor it gracefully. No pushback, no guilt trips. See it as information, not rejection.
And finally, model it yourself. Be clear about your own boundaries, like we talked about earlier. Foster that culture of mutual respect.
Exactly. So wrapping this up, mastering boundaries isn't about building walls. It's about designing your life intentionally, especially in this demanding 2025 environment.
These principles from boundaries are really essential tools, aren't they? For focus, productivity, health, success.
They really are. The core shift is realizing you control your property line, your time, energy, choices. Give yourself permission to protect what matters.
Start small, be consistent. Your future self in, say, December 2025 will thank you for it.
Definitely. And here's a final thought to chew on. With AI and automation advancing so rapidly in 2025, how might clearly defining your human boundaries, your focus, your energy, your values actually become your greatest competitive advantage? Something to think about.